Hello, I'm Robin Gibson, and this is the Harvard House Money Morsel. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so you get a notification of when we release a new video. I'm sitting, as promised, again with Shelly Moreno from our tax department. Welcome, Shelly.
Hi, Rob.
So you would have probably watched our video related to residents versus non-residents taxpayer. We hope that you've read our intuition article, which gave a lot more detail. But what we thought we'd do today is just explore a little bit about the tax position for someone who is outside of the country. So, Shelly, we're going to explore that a little bit. So assuming I've now gone through this process to make myself a non-resident taxpayer, what differs for me from a tax point of view? I'm now living outside of South Africa. I'm a non-res as far as South Africa is concerned, and I still have assets that are earning income in South Africa. Give me a picture as to what are my benefits now to being tagged as a non-resident versus a resident taxpayer.
So, Rob, when you've moved overseas, you would have paid your exit capital gains tax, and that's on your worldwide assets. But what is excluded is income, your property in South Africa, and say if you have a business in South Africa. So when you move overseas, you're now taxed as a non-resident, and that means that you're taxed on your income from a South African source.
Okay.
Whereas if you are taxed as a South African tax resident, you're taxed on your worldwide income.
Okay. So becoming non-resident actually almost puts a fence around whatever happens in the rest of the world as far as the South African tax authorities are concerned.
Correct. So if you have a house that you've lived in and you move overseas, say you didn't sell your house before you left and you rent it out, the income that you get from that rental is taxed on your South African tax return.
Okay.
So as a non-resident taxpayer, you still have to declare that income because it's income from a South African source.
Okay. And what about things like interest? Maybe I've got some shares and I'm earning dividends, and maybe there's some property in there. There's REIT dividends. How is all that dealt with?
Okay, so as a non-resident, you have withholding tax on your REIT dividends.
Yes.
But the fact that you have interest in a bank account, you will have an exemption for that, so you won't be taxed on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a real benefit from that point of view.
Correct.
Okay. And then, Shelly, that also means from a South African point of view, and I think this is where maybe a lot of the confusion will come, is that, there's people who are going, well, I'm suddenly now having to register myself as a non-resident taxpayer, but I'm actually intending on coming back to South Africa. I might be on a medium-term contract in Dubai, whatever it is, and now I'm suddenly a non-res. What's going to happen to me when I come back to South Africa? I guess the real benefit is the growth of their international assets in the meantime, isn't it?
Correct. So when you come back, you are deemed to have acquired your assets, your worldwide assets, at the market value at the date you come back to South Africa, and you become a South African tax resident again.
Yes.
So when you left, you would have paid capital gains tax on your worldwide assets at that time.
Yes.
But the difference in the growth, as you pointed out, you're not taxed on until you actually sell that asset as a South African tax resident.
Yes. Okay. So when let's just assuming I build up a whole lot of investments in the 10 years I'm outside the country, when I come back to South Africa, the market value now becomes my base cost, not the growth that I've got in there. So that's been kept outside of the South African net. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. Actually, what's very, very interesting, Shell, many people might not be aware of this, but there's another advantage in that space, and it really comes into the deceased estate section, and that's that those assets are not included. What you accumulate outside the country is not included in your state for estate duty purposes. So you make that declaration when you come back in, and believe it or not, you can donate them without any tax payments required. So there are some advantages to squaring away this. So Shell, we know that there's a lot of paperwork that goes in terms of getting to this non-res.
Yes.
Have you had any success in actually converting people from resident to non-resident who are outside the country?
Yes, I have. It's been fun. A lot of paperwork, a lot of admin. But yes, I have done that, and they've been successful.
And so I think the biggest thing, having a look at the process that you do, is you have to write a motivational letter, don't you? So you actually have to get all your facts quite accurately in a row, don't you?
Yes. SARS wants you to choose which basis you're ceasing tax residency on.
Yes.
If it's through ordinary residence, or if it's through failing the physical presence test, or through double taxation agreement.
Okay.
So your motivational letter needs to be worded correctly on one of those bases.
Yes.
But yes.
And so you're going to have your dates quite well put together in terms of when you did what. Is that right?
Correct. Your passport, permanent residence, if you have it, where your family is, your social interests, all that has to be documented and proof of it submitted to SARS.
Okay, so you're getting very good at writing creative letters for SARS, is that correct?
Something like that.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of interest around this, especially with people who've got families overseas. We will continue to explore these things with Shelly. Shelly, thanks for coming in and sharing your expertise with us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.